Welcome to Overcoming the Limits video and podcast series, where we interview extraordinary people and dig into their psychology, their motivation, and their journey. My name is Trevor.
And I'm Jake.
And we're here to ignite inspiration in each and every one of you listening and watching today. Today we have the impressive Katharine Partridge, who not only holds a few female Incline records, she also happens to be one of the most supportive and kindest people I've ever met. And I genuinely mean that, and we'll talk about that. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
We just went up the incline with Katharine, got some good footage, met a couple of her friends. It's a beautiful day today, isn't it?
Oh, it's gorgeous. Every day on the incline is a good day.
For the record, I missed the incline, but that's not here nor there.
Well, if I am remembering correctly, we met for the first time about 6 months ago. And that was when I was coordinating a maintenance event on the incline, and you were one of my volunteers, right?
Yes.
Do you remember that day?
I do. I got a cool t-shirt out of it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
lots of good food and fun.
Yeah, we cooked some burgers that day. It was really fun. I was planning my Inclinathon as well around that time, and you gave me some of the best advice and support that I received from anybody. So that's when I say you're very supportive. I always see you up there supporting other people when they're doing Inclinathons, or they've just finished their 500 and they're part of the 500 club, and you're up there almost every time. And I think that's amazing because no one else does that. Why do you do that?
Yeah, I was trying to think about why I do stuff like that, and just I feel like because others have supported me, I want to support others in whatever way I can. Just in little ways, even if I was there when they first started on their first, Inclinathon, the first go up the stairs, first picture, whatever it is, just being there to give them a Coke or whatever. It's just nice to have somebody acknowledge what you're doing. And so, yeah, that's
Yeah, it really does. I felt special, and that meant a lot to me because I was going through hard moments, and you were like, talk about kindness, giving me gifts and like goodie bags when I'm doing these challenges, and just thank you gifts that you leave on our doorstep. Thank you. I don't think I've ever been able to say that to you in person.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, very kind. Does that kindness, like, you just embody that throughout your whole life, or did you develop it recently?
I always used to joke with my ex-husband that I'm a really nice person. And when people are mean to me, I'm thinking, why would they be mean to me? I'm a really nice person. So we always used to joke about that, like, you're really kind, you're really nice. But I have been that way without really thinking about it. I feel like I am a nice person. I am kind. I like to do things for people and be supportive just because it makes me feel good. Right? It's not just about what other people get. It's about what I get out of it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Have you ever heard of Gary Chapman and the 5 love languages?
Yes.
You have, yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know, Gary Chapman has a book. He's a counselor, a therapist, an author. And the premise of the book is that love is displayed in different ways, that not everybody receives love in the same way, because there's 5 primary different languages. There's words of affirmation, there's quality time, there's acts of service, physical touch, and then there's also receiving gifts. Which one do you feel like you align with the most? Because we're kind of talking about a couple of them here.
Yeah, I'm a toucher.
Okay.
Like, I need to receive touch. That's what my love language would be.
Yeah, presence, hugging.
Yeah.
That's all very important.
Yep.
I, from my perspective, if I had to guess, I would have guessed that it would have been receiving gifts because you give so many, and it feels like an act of love and all of that, or the like quality time because you spend a lot of special time with people on the incline. That's interesting to hear that. Very cool. Yeah, I am words of affirmation. I get a lot out of that, especially when someone says something positive to me and builds me up. I can really live off of that for a long time, so that's helpful.
That might be my second one, because I do like to hear, you're doing great, or especially on the incline, the encouragement, it means a lot.
Yeah, you definitely need that motivation on the incline because it's very challenging. For those of you who don't For those of you that don't know, the Incline is in Manitou Springs, Colorado. It's a 2,768 stair challenge that goes up the side of Mount Manitou. It shows you beautiful views of the city and the surrounding mountain landscapes. You can hike a little bit further back and see Pikes Peak. It is like stair steps that go up. It was an old tramway, cogway that was used as a tourist attraction. And it is a destination now for tourists to physically challenge themselves. It goes up 2,000 foot in elevation gain. And Katharine holds quite a few records for the Incline. Primarily the ones that I know about, maybe you know about more, but the ones that I know about is you were the second female to have ever completed the 500 club.
Yes.
Jordan was the first, and you were the second one on October 16th, 2021. So just a handful of months ago. You were...
And as my friend Steve says, I am the oldest female.
Oh, I didn't have that
So
one down.
I know.
But
So
okay. He's a dated guy, so he would know that. Okay, yeah, we'll
So
chalk
thanks,
that one up.
Steve.
Yeah, thanks,
so
Steve.
much.
We appreciate that one for sure. You're also, this one I think is the most impressive. You're the first female to have ever completed an Inclinathon. Like, you were groundbreaking right there because no female had ever considered doing that. Many have tried, but they didn't have the endurance and the stamina and the mental confidence and all of that to be able to do that. And an Inclinathon is 13 laps on the incline. You go up and down 13 times in a row, and there's one rule, and that one rule is you have to do it in 24 hours or less. It's timed. So you can't just do it a few times and then come back. You have to stay there and you have to get it done. Katharine was able to do that, and that also simultaneously set the record for most laps in 24 hours because no female had ever done that before. You also have one more record. Do you know what it is?
no.
Okay, I found this one out. It is the female record for the most climbs in 1 month. You have that as
that's
well.
right. Okay, yes.
56 laps in October of 2021, which happens to be the month you did the Inclinathon, and it was the month that you finished the 500 club. So
Yep.
I think that's pretty neat. At the end of your 500, you were all out in that last month. What made you go so fast in that last month?
So the last month, so that was October, there was a challenge called the Max Vert Challenge that I entered, and there were prizes to be had. And so it was about just getting the most vert you could get. And you were going against, people from all over the country. And the prizes were like shoes, a water bottle, hiking poles, all kinds of stuff. So I'm like, I want to get in, the top 10 so I can get some prizes. That's what it was all about for me. Free shoes? Okay, I'll do it. And I was doing the incline anyway for the first half month. I was still on my 500, but so that's why I did it.
Okay. How did you do in that challenge?
I got 6th place.
How big is the audience?
Did
6 out of how many people?
I'm trying to remember.
Is this a countrywide thing or just a Manitou, Colorado Springs?
Yeah, countrywide.
Oh, wow.
I did 110,023 feet. I got 6th place. And I was in the top, of course, top 10 for women and the top 20 overall. And, there were people from Utah, there were people from Colorado, there were people just from all over the place. But, getting the most vert is difficult in some places. When you're someplace flat, there's not really a lot of opportunity. So this was a perfect opportunity on the incline to do it.
And you were already doing the 500 club, so
Yeah.
Man, what a perfect
Why
line
not?
of events.
Right? Yeah.
So 6th out of the entire country.
Yes.
That's impressive.
I know.
I didn't know that it was 6. Like, wow, I'm blown away. Are you blown away, or is this just a fact of your life?
No, because it's funny because I'm not really fazed, and I feel humble about it because there's so many people in this area, especially, who do incredible things, and so I just feel like, okay, yeah, I'm doing this, and they're also incredible, and so no matter what I do, I always feel like there's something else more incredible that's being done. And I think that when we live here in Colorado Springs, I think a lot of people think like that. Like, oh, I'm only doing 52 miles on the incline and then back down like you did in your
Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah.
I'm only doing that. And then you're on to your next thing. But if you didn't live here, people would be like, what? You did what? It's just so normal for us because we live around a lot of incredible people.
Yeah, I see that perspective. For those that don't know, Catherine's referencing in December, I did a challenge. I made my own ultra marathon. I had never run more than 13 miles before, and I just wanted to do this to build up my mental strength and learn more about my emotions and tolerances and just reflect for a while by myself in my own head. So I did an incline ultra marathon, and that was 52 miles, so a double marathon. I went up the incline, down Bar Trail to Hiawatha and back 8 times in a row. It took about 22 hours.
It blows me away. Every time I hear it, I'm like, this guy is a machine.
That was the day you showed up, and I remember
pulling up and you were walking right down Ruxton.
Yeah, I was like 15 hours into it or something. It was dark, and you pull up and you're like, window down, like, hi, just got off a plane. I'm like, hi, I'm gonna be running for like 10 more hours.
Yeah, it was wild.
I'll be home later.
Yeah.
See you later, or see you tomorrow. Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Yeah, there was only one guy crazy enough to want to do it with you, and he wasn't able to finish.
Yeah,
who was that?
Bob.
Yeah.
Bob did it with
Crazy
me.
Bob?
Crazy Bob, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he started 4 hours after I started, and I didn't tell him this, but I invited him to do it with me because I wanted the competition. But a few hours into him starting, I realized, dang, Bob is going to beat me, and he's going to be the first guy to do this challenge. And I really wanted to be the first one to do it. So at a certain point, I just accepted it, and I was like, there couldn't have been a better person to have beat me in this challenge. But he got about 36 miles into it, and he rolled his ankle, and his ankle was so swollen. It was like softball size.
It was bad.
It was really bad, and it put him out of commission for a while. Mm-hmm. But talk about a fun person to be around. He's the kind of guy that'll just walk up and give you a hug while it's snowing and he has no shirt on and he's barefoot.
Yeah, he's a pretty wild guy.
Yeah.
I was wanting to talk about the Inclinathon a little bit.
Sure, let's talk about an Inclinathon.
You want to talk about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I guess just to ask it in a more concise way, or what drove you to do an Inclinathon? I mean, there's, like we were talking about earlier, a lot of people here are doing those kinds of things, but I think that there are reasons that people do these kinds of things. So did you have a reason, or what was like your motivation for doing it?
It was, the question was always, so what are you going to do after your 500 is done? Like, people would ask me that.
Oh.
And I always thought, no, I'm not sure. I have no idea. So I talked to my buddy Mickey, who also did 500.
Such a nice guy.
Yes,
Mickey, I can't wait to interview you.
We're coming for you.
So he started his 500 after me and finished before me. So he is the 16th person, I'm 17th. I can't remember. Anyway.
You're 16th, so he's
I'm
going to be
16th,
15th.
So he's 15th. So we would talk about doing an Inclinathon. And one day we just said, let's just plan it. Let's just do it. Let's keep it on the down low so we don't get a lot of people up here. So we decided on a date, and we just said, we're just going to do it, just to do it. And the idea was, let's just do as many as we can in 24 hours, up to 13, of course. Mm-hmm. And if we don't finish, it's not going to be like life devastating, or, we're not going to be upset. Let's just try it.
Yeah.
So that was our whole mindset going into it. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we just said, just because we can, let's just do it and attempt it.
Yeah.
And we didn't have like a record or anything like that in mind, but the closer the day got, we started looking at the people who had done it and he would get tips from some of the guys who had done it before. Like, what did you eat?
Yeah.
Like, what was your strategy? Did you go fast at the beginning and then slower at the end? So he was getting all these tips from people. I didn't talk to anyone, but he would, communicate to me what he had heard.
Right.
And then what was my point? I can't remember what my point was.
So you're thinking about how he got tips.
Right.
Yeah, so he kind of helps find some guidance in the people that were experienced.
Yes, and then that's when these different records came up. So was it Greg who did multiple
Roger
inclines, or Roger?
26.
Oh my gosh.
In 1 year.
It's crazy. So these things came up, and then it came up the week that we were about to do it, I would be the first woman to do an Inclinathon.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that would be great. Like, that's not my motivation for doing it. But then the closer the day got, I thought, that would be sort of cool if that did happen.
So have you always been like athletic, or is this or something you picked up in the last, I don't know, a few years, or?
I did some running in high school and then never really did any long distance running or anything like that until maybe 20 years ago.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, not super
Not
athletic.
particularly
but,
athletic?
No.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, but it was a good day for an Inclinathon. We
Yeah.
had perfect weather.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure was. When you talk about going low key, it was,
Yeah.
I remember it being a shock, like, oh, wow, they did that. And it wasn't on any social media. Only the locals knew about it. I think there was maybe a couple people at the top. Somebody had a cake for you. That was kind of cool.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and then at some point, someone passed the picture to me, and I was like, this is too cool for people to not know about it. I like blasted it on social media. I just put the posts and stuff up there, and it got a lot of traction. And the interesting thing is you two were the catalyst for the Inclinathon to really build some momentum, because once you two did it, in the next couple months, the amount of people that had completed an Inclinathon doubled. Just like catalyst is the perfect word, because you just ignited this momentum that didn't exist, and it inspired so many people, myself included. I did it shortly after you and Mickey did it, and yeah, it was really fun, and it's a good challenge.
It is.
What was the biggest thing you got out of that journey of doing the 13 inclines in one day?
That's a good question.
Did you feel any different after you had accomplished it, or was it just kind of like, oh, I just did that, or?
Yeah, I thought that I would have a different feeling, sort of like I did when I was done with my 500, like, yay, I'm the best. I'm so awesome. But it was almost unreal. Like, okay, I just did that. Now what? What's next?
Are you very goal oriented? Because it sounds
I
like
am.
you think
Yeah.
that way, like, oh, I have this task, and okay, done. Okay, next thing.
Yes, check
Okay.
it off the list. I experienced it. Now I'm ready to move on to
Yeah.
the next thing or the next thing. And that's sort of how it was. I mean, I was tired. I loved the support we got from people. We had people come out and do laps with us. And Greg and his wife came out at midnight and had a bunch of treats and everything for
Oh,
us.
amazing.
And yeah. And
This is Greg Cummings,
Yes.
world record
Yeah.
holder, most inclines in a year.
And they're so sweet. They're such a sweet couple. And that felt really good.
How awesome.
But
Who else
after
was there?
that,
Was anyone else up there?
so at midnight, Greg and I always forget his wife's name. What's his wife's name?
I don't know. We'll find out, though.
Okay. Yes, she's amazing. So they had hot chocolate and treats and everything. So it was them, and then John C. I can't remember his last
Carmichael.
name. Carmichael. Yes, thank you, John C.
He's so supportive, isn't he?
Oh yes, he is such a
he's a
sweetheart.
good guy.
And then and just me and Mickey, and I think that was it.
Yeah, nice and small.
Chuck may have been out there, my buddy Chuck
Chuck Platt.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was it. Midnight, and
So
we were
when
done.
it's kind of put me in the moment, it's midnight. You've been doing the incline nonstop for 20-ish hours. Is that right?
We finished in 18 hours and 57 minutes.
So fast.
That was the
That's very
official
fast.
time.
Did you have any injuries? No injuries. Wow. I feel like I almost ripped my IT band. Like it was so hard. No injuries. Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Had you ever done more than one in a row?
Yes.
You had. Okay.
Yeah. So I had probably done a lot of quads. So Sean, Crazy Sean.
Yeah. Or
He used to
Michael,
call
is
me
that his last
the
name?
queen of the quad. No, Sean Etchinger.
Etchinger. Okay.
Yeah, he's super fast.
Yeah. I love that guy. We're going to talk to
so-
him next weekend.
He used to call me the queen of the quad. And then I got a job and I wasn't able to do quads anymore. So yeah, I had done 4 in a row, probably the most.
Okay. So you went from 4 and then you and Mickey just busted out 13.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Yep. I always think that because people saw this old dude, he is the oldest Inclinathoner.
Oh, another record?
Yes.
You were breaking
This
records left and
old
right.
dude and this chick that went up there and did this Inclinathon, I think that's what generated it. They didn't realize, people don't realize how hard it is, but then they saw us and they're like, well, if those two can do it, then we're definitely going to do it. Right. So I think that's probably what got people to thinking, I could probably do that.
That's cool. And I think around that same time, for the longest time, the records of the Incline had been this mystery where people just didn't really know. So just to kind of fill in some background, over the last few months, I've been talking to all the locals, looking on websites like Strava, fastest known time, and I created these sheets that have all of the records on there that I can think of. Katharine's name is on there 3 times. And I posted it at the base of the incline in a locked case so that everybody knows now. And I'd like to think that's creating some positive momentum and inspiration for people. Mm-hmm. You like that idea? I
think so. I love it. And I've heard from a few people, hey, so-and-so wants to beat your record. And I'm like, let's do it. So there are a lot of women, I think, that I'm not sure why they wouldn't do it immediately, because there are some incredible athletes who are women. And so one lady I talked to the other night wants to come up here and do it. And I told her, you need to plan on doing at least 14.
Yep, that
in
would set
24
the record.
hours.
Yep.
That would be a record setting. And I'm happy to support. I want to see people break the records. That's the whole point of having records, right? Is to break them. Mm-hmm. So I would love to see that. See, you have to change that, every week or every month.
Do you have any interest in defending yours?
Probably not.
No. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
It's like, okay, I've been there, done that. I'm
done
good.
it already. Okay.
Well, but we have talked, Mickey and I have talked about doing another Inclinathon this year in October. So we'll see
what happens.
where I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing a 50 miler, my first 50 miler ever in mid-October. So I'll see how I am after that.
Okay, cool. What's driving that? Anything particular?
Goal.
Just
Because
another
I've
goal?
never done
the
it
next
before.
check box.
So
The next-
yep,
okay,
yep,
so
done a
that's-
50K. I'm just going up in the mileage. So now the next one is 50 miles.
Awesome.
So in your training for this ultra marathon, I mean, this is no joke. That's a lot of miles.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
So how long have you been training, and when is your attempt at this 50 miler?
So I've only been training since December. And so I had a couple half marathons in February, so slowly building my mileage back up, because that's what I did before the Inclinathon and the 500 inclines is run. So just building my mileage slowly back up. So I'm on a 50K training plan right now, and then I'll go to a 50 miler training plan, and it's not until October, so I have plenty of time. So I'm just running. Lots of miles.
Yeah.
Getting in back-to-back long runs, and yeah.
So I'm interested, how are you preventing injury? Because this is a lot of running, a lot of inclining. You got to take care of your body. You know your body best, so you probably know what you're predisposed to. I know, I'll speak specifically from myself. I struggle with my IT band, so I have an exercise routine I do. I'd like to say I do it nightly, but I don't. It's been a while because I haven't been as active lately. But that's my sore spot. If anything's going to get hurt, it's going to be my knees are going to really hurt because that IT band's going to roll over the tibia, fibula area. Do you have any specific injuries that you know about, or how do you stay away from injury?
I've been so lucky with injuries. I mean, I really have not been injured. I did in October of 2020, when I was about to finish my 500, I was coming down the incline one day, slow, go figure, and I had a terrible fall. I mean, I was with my friend Chuck. It was an epic fall. He watched it. He said it was in slow-mo. I fell on my back, and then I fell on my front, and I was bleeding, and it was pretty bad, but I was able to walk down. And then I was able to finish up my 500. As soon as I finished my 500, I started sort of to feel a little bit in my knee. And, at the end of October, I did my Inclinathon. It was just fine. A couple days, I would say, after the Inclinathon, I started feeling my knee, I can't even describe what it was. Like, it was heavy. I could not like walk on it, put a lot of weight on it. And so I had to stop doing any exercise. I could walk my dog and that was it. I couldn't come up here. And it was for probably about a good 3 weeks that I couldn't do anything. And I got some advice from some other Inclinathoners who just happened to be a doctor and a nurse, thank God. The Leboskis. You know the Leboskis?
Let me check.
Ann and Dave.
They're Inclinathoners?
They're not Inclinathoners,
Incliners.
but they're Incliners,
Okay,
yeah.
I have not met them yet.
Yeah,
But
they're
sounds like somebody I
amazing
need to meet.
people.
Did you
Yes.
say Anne?
Ann and Dave.
I have spoken to her on Facebook.
Okay.
And she did give me some guidance on my IT band that was
Yes.
helpful.
Yes.
Yep.
That's the same.
Okay.
And so they both gave me wonderful free advice on my
generous of
knee.
them.
Yeah. She even, wrote up an email with all these different exercises that I could do. So I was doing physical therapy exercises on my knee. And about 3 weeks, I was able to come back to the incline and start running again. And I haven't had trouble with it since then.
That's
It's
really great to
amazing.
hear for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Because I know a lot of people that do these high endurance activities, they struggle with injuries and they are always trying to get the right type of shoe and do all the special things just to prevent it. It's great to hear that you've stayed away from injury, luckily. About the fall, though, I kind of want to go back to that.
Yeah.
What part of the staircase were you in?
It was sort of the mid section there. It was above the bar bailout.
Oh, it's steep right there.
Uh-huh.
Before the fall summit?
It was between the fault summit and the bar bailout. And
Oh,
it was
wow.
on like the left part of the stairs where they get sort of skinny. And I just slipped on gravel. That's all it was. It wasn't snowing. There was no ice, nothing. And we were going slow. It was social incline day. So it was a weird fall.
That's really terrifying because that is the steepest part of the incline right there. And that's where you fell.
Yeah,
That's not ideal.
I know.
So, like, did you tumble and roll down or?
Yeah, it was. I know. My friend Chuck was saying, like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I should catch you or what, but I fell backwards. And then somehow, I don't know what happened. Maybe it was just that it was so quick that I fell forwards and I ended up falling like almost on my face. But I have, tons of scars here on my left leg
Oh my
and
gosh.
on my knee and everything. I was bleeding. It was awesome. And when you have a fall like that, it's all that adrenaline that just
Yes.
keeps you going. So I was fine. I was able to go down the incline. I was fine after that.
No
But it was
broken
just
bones or
nothing. No,
just
I was so
surface
lucky.
issues of scratches and
Yes.
scarring and wow, yeah, because the incline can be deadly. There have been people that fall and they break bones and limbs and they have to be evacuated by search and rescue, by helicopter. People have died. I think the people that I know of, it was more primarily around heart attack or heat exhaustion that led to other issues like an injury. So I'm really glad to hear that you're okay. You said that was October of 2021?
2020. Oh, wait,
2020.
no. What is this? Yeah, it was 2021.
So October
That's
of
right.
2021,
I'm trying to
so,
remember.
like, 6
right
months ago.
before I was finishing my 500.
So it was
Yeah.
the month when you set all of your records.
Yes.
That's when you had your injury?
Yes.
Oh, wow. And you still got sixth place globally.
Yeah.
Or for the country. I'm so
Yeah.
impressed by you. I think my favorite quality about you is how humble you are. I love that.
Thank you.
I admire that a lot. I think my self-talk is probably that I need to be better at that. So I really admire it when I see people that are humble and like you have a lot of admirable.
Admirable.
You have a lot of admirable
sure.
traits.
Thank you.
So you fell, no injuries, mainly, but scarring. Yikes! Did that feel like a near-death experience?
No, it was sort of funny almost in a way. It was because it was so ridiculous. And we're looking at each other, Chuck and I are looking at each other like, what just happened? It was unbelievable.
I'm imagining like there's people around and you hear like screaming in the background.
No, thank God. It was early in the morning where there
Okay.
wasn't a bunch of people around. But as we were going down, I was getting these looks from people because they were looking at the blood and everything. And
Yeah.
are you okay? Oh my God. No, I'm good. I'm fine.
You're like, there's a bear at the false
Yeah,
summit.
right.
Don't
Be
try to
careful.
fight it.
Well, yeah, that's going to happen. I think if you're up there enough going down the steps, there's bound to be an injury or two.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you have a fall like that, I imagine it impacts your psychology, your confidence. It's kind of like human nature we're pre-wired to, if you get injured, like we're built to survive. So if you get injured, your brain is going to like create. Jake could probably talk about this better because he has a background in psychology, but I'm imagining that your brain is going to like condition you to want to stay away from certain things because you had this bad experience. You almost died. So there's this record, and I've mentioned it to you a few times, and maybe now I'm understanding a little bit better. I said,
Yeah.
Katharine, the downhill speed record, Melissa Rogers has it. It's 11 minutes, 47 seconds. Can I pace you? We could do a 10-minuter. Is this something that kind of comes up when I say that?
Oh, definitely. Because so I subscribed to Strava during my 500 year. And so I was able to look at all of those records, and I had a pretty good downtime. I think it was 13 something. And I was up there, in the top maybe 3. And excuse me, my nose.
Take your time. It's okay.
And then after I fell, I just said, I got to chill out on my downs because I wanted to finish my 500. What I was thinking, I went through almost 11 months of inclines. And if I get injured now and I'm not able to finish my 500, that's dumb. So that's
right?
where I started to slow down on the downs. I'm just walk them. I haven't really run them in a really long time. Even that full month of October, I probably ran a little bit, but not like tried to PR at all or try to beat Melissa, which is almost impossible because she's crazy fast.
So the 500 Club, it's kind of intuitive, but can you explain what it is and the rules about it, who tracks it, and what you receive when you finish it, and how your experience was when you finished it?
So 500 inclines, and it's just up inclines. You can go down whatever way you want. So 500 inclines in 1 year.
I'm in a wingsuit down, just jumping.
You could, zip line, put a zip line up there. Right. So just 500 inclines. And Steve Sturmer is our record keeper. And so you put everything on Strava, and that's how you would typically, keep your records. You have to have a way to formally say that you've done it. So that's how I did it. And really, what are the other? There are no other rules.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I think that's it. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, who was it that we ran into the other day that he missed the Strava thing? He was on his way down, I think.
So that's Rami, and he did 500 inclines.
I'm thinking of someone else though. He's tried to Strava it, but then he realized about that he only got 7 seconds or something of it. Or
I remember. So we had a conversation with Sean, and he was running
Can you
downhill.
imagine?
Shonsky,
It's
yes.
horrible.
He was running downhill, and he said, I swear, I wouldn't even be surprised if I got in the 6 minutes, because that's how fast he was running downhill. Everything was just so perfect. The downhill record is, let me pull it up, 7 minutes and 24 seconds. That was set in 2018. So he's saying that he wouldn't even be surprised if he got in 6 minutes. That's totally Sean, right? He is confident. He had it. And then he looked at his Strava, and it had only recorded the first 10 stairs as he went up.
That's horrible. I was just
Yeah.
man, that's...
He can do it again, though.
I bet he can.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
excited.
fast.
When the snow melts off, I bet he'll set that new record.
He's fast up and down, so there's not going to be a problem for him.
Yeah, so 500 Club. So there are only 19 people that have ever done the 500 Club. You were number 16, and you have one finish total. Do you think you'll have 2 finishes total one day, or you are
Probably
done?
not.
Yep.
No, I'll check that one off my list.
Okay.
I'm good.
Yeah. Some people are addicted to it. There's Steve Sturmer, for example, has 500ers.
Yeah.
So for 5 years, he's done the incline 500 times.
That's nuts.
That's a lot of dedication, isn't it?
yeah.
So when you finished the 500 Club, what was that experience like? Like that last few steps you went up, and there's probably people there. Greg gives out these handmade trophies. What did it feel like?
It was emotional. Like, I didn't want to cry up there. My sisters were up there, and I'm even
Aw.
thinking about it right now. It's like, ah. But yeah, it was super emotional. And when I got up there, they gave me a big hug, and one of my sisters almost started crying. I'm like, do not cry. Because of course, when you see someone you love crying, and then I want to cry, and I'm like, okay, chill out. So there was no crying at the top. So that was
great
good.
Control right there.
And it meant a lot. All the people that were up there, for me, it meant a lot to me. And of course, the trophy is a beautiful, like, hand-carved.
Doesn't Greg do such a great job
Oh
with
my
that?
gosh. And the smell of it, I just smelled it for so long. Every time I put it in my kitchen, every time I would go into my kitchen, I would smell it every day for a few weeks because the wood was so fresh. It was
there's
just
such
beautiful.
a great connection between your sense of smell and your memories. And like the
Yes.
emotion that can come back when you smell
Yeah.
a certain thing. So I can understand that.
Yeah, good point.
So yeah, your sisters are up there waiting for you. Are you close with your sisters?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they would incline with me every once in a while, so it was good to have them there. And yeah, it was just a wonderful day of celebration, and it was just good. And then after that, I'm like, okay, what's next?
What's next? I love that. So goal oriented and just focused on goals. So yeah, your sisters were up there. Do you have two sisters, or do you have more siblings?
Nope, just Monica is my older sister, and then Carmen is my younger sister.
Yeah.
Just the two.
Have you always had a close relationship, or just recently?
We've been pretty close over the years, but now that we all live in the same town again,
Oh, how nice.
we all live in Colorado Springs, so we're able to do stuff together and
That's so
hang
nice.
out and
Yeah, all of our family, my wife and I, is down in San Antonio, and we fly them up as much as we can. We basically have this open invitation. If you want to come up, we'll fly you. We don't want money to be a reason why we don't see family. And they take us up on it, but just be in the same city as them,
Yes,
that's got to be special.
it really is. I wish my parents could have come up, but they're able to. They're both hikers, but they said, you know what, we're going to pass this time. But we were able to have a nice celebration afterwards.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I want to learn more about your sister, so I'm trying to think of the right question. So what was your childhood like then with your sisters and your parents? And do you look back at your childhood fondly?
Yeah, I had, I always felt like I didn't come from a dysfunctional family like everybody else. But everybody has their dysfunction, right?
You cannot
Every
escape
family,
trauma, yeah.
I know.
Everyone has trauma.
But no, my dad was in the military, and for much of my life, my mom was able to stay home with us as kids, and so and we got to travel around to different places, a couple different countries, and
Is
it
that
was
from
just
the military?
from
'Cause
the
he
military.
was stationed in different places. What kind of countries?
So we lived in Taiwan for a short period of time, and then we lived in Okinawa. Those were the two.
How old were you when you were
Pretty young.
stationed out there?
So I was in Okinawa from 2nd to 5th grade, and then Taiwan was right before that for a pretty short time. It was a good way to grow up, looking at different, and then around the country, of course, different cultures, even within the United States, we all have our different cultures. And so it was a good way to grow up, a good way to get used to change, because there was constant change. Every time you move in the military, you make new friends, different schools, everything's different. And so I think that's probably shaped, of course, how I am today with change and, keeping people sort of at arm's length sometimes. You know, you don't want to get
sisters,
too
right?
close. That's right. And that's why we were close.
That helps me understand the type of dynamic you have with your sisters, because
Yeah.
you've been through so much change in your life, but they've always been a constant for
Yes.
you. So I can understand how being at the top after you've spent a whole year doing 500 inclines, and there they are right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that feeling a little bit better now.
Emotional.
Yeah, and
Very.
it's just I imagine what they felt when they saw you achieving such a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
You probably had a really good impact on them in your life. It would be great to know their perspective, but I'm sure they would just say beautiful things about you.
They better.
They better, right? How long have we been going so far?
Let's see.
You have no time limits? Okay.
45 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting to hear about that and how you grew up. And you feel like you have, when I think about, after I'm learning more about you, the qualities that you have, you seem very determined. You seem goal-oriented. You are just fixated on a goal and you achieve it. And then when you achieve it, your very next thought is, okay, what's next? Like, I can relate to that. And you just seem so positive, generous, supportive. I really love those qualities. Do you feel like your parents had an impact on helping you learn those traits, or did you kind of discover that on your own?
No, my parents are awesome. Yeah, they have their issues, but like every other parent does.
do,
But
yeah.
yeah, you know, your parents model for you what they want to see in you as a child and as an adult, and I think they did that. You know, my mother, she stayed home with us for a lot of the years that we were kids, and then when we were old enough, you know, teenage-ish years, she went to work. When she met my dad, she was in her, I think, third year of college. They met, and then she dropped out of college to get married to him and go on to the Air Force and live their lives. And so very late in her life, after we grew up, she went back to school. She went back to college. She got a bachelor's and a master's degree. She was a chaplain at different places, but Penrose Hospital is where she ended her career. But I mean, she was very goal-oriented in her own way. And so she is a great role model for me still. Even though she's retired, she is a great role model because she is all about the, you know, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And it was like nothing to her. It was like not a big deal for her. She's going to do it because she wants to do it and then move on to the next thing. So.
Wow, yeah, I can see how that role modeling and seeing that throughout your childhood and growing up, how that impressioned on you. Mm-hmm. And now you have that trait.
So when you're doing these big goals or anything, do you ever worry I'm not going to be able to meet my standard, or does it matter to you?
I was never really worried about being able to meet the goal or meet the standard because I wouldn't set it unless I knew I could do it.
I
right?
see.
Like
Talk
even
about
though it's a
confident.
challenge,
Yeah.
really.
I'm going to do 500 in a
Really?
year, and I'm going to do it.
It's like, why would I even make the goal if I didn't think I could do it? Because
that.
before I make the goal, I'm like, okay, so what would it take for me to do that? About 10 a week. I could still have a life and go on vacations and, you know, do fun stuff if I, you know, increased it every week. And so I'm like, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, so it was a realistic enough goal for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Was there a catalyst that started you on doing the 500 Club? Because it seems like it's an abstract goal. Only 19 people have ever done it. Mm-hmm. There's some people that are trying it currently. I think there's 9 currently trying it. Mm-hmm. But not many people have finished it because it's such a big endeavor. It takes a lot of time in hours. Like it literally takes hundreds and hundreds of hours. What was that catalyst that got you to say, all right, now's the year. Now's the time. I'm going to do this.
So right before I started, October of 2020,
Yes, 2020.
I found out that I was going to be displaced from my job of 32 years. I was with the same company for 32 years, being completely displaced the following month. And so I said, well, what am I going to do? I want to do something. I want to spend my time productively. I don't just want to be. So what am I going to do? And of course, I was planning already to look for another job immediately. So what am I going to do during this whole time frame? So that's why I came up with I want to do the 500 inclines.
Yeah.
And then I was lucky enough to, during my 500, find another job within the same company, and only temporarily, unfortunately.
Is that so you were displaced,
displaced?
and then you had a period of unemployment, and then this,
Yes.
and then after that period, you were rehired temporarily at the same company.
Yes. Yeah. So I wasn't employed only for a certain period of time. So I had to sort of figure out when I went back to work, how am I going to do this goal and still be able to work? So it was a little tricky, but I mean, I knew I wanted to finish. I knew I could do it even working. And so I just figured out how to do it.
Yeah, I can only imagine what your thoughts were at that moment where you say, okay, I have this unknown amount of time where I'm going to potentially be unemployed. I'll just spend the time doing the incline. And then you get rehired almost immediately. Good, but kind of unfortunate for your goal.
Right.
And then you have to like try to figure out, okay, how can I balance, because I only have so many hours in a day.
Yes.
How can I balance my goals versus time you spend with significant others, with the career that you have? Did that give you any anxiety at all, trying to figure out how to balance things? Was there ever a point where you thought, I can't do this 500 goal?
No.
Amazing.
I knew I was going to do it. It gave me a little anxiety because, then you have to move your life around. You have to do, you have certain patterns, and I couldn't do those patterns anymore. So I just had to, change it up a little bit. But I had no doubt that I was going to finish because I had already had a couple months or a few months actually doing it. I'm like, I can't stop now. Why should I? There's no way I'm going to stop. So, yeah.
That's great.
It was good.
So determined.
I was.
You have any questions, Jake? I want you to ask them.
I don't think I have any at the moment.
Okay,
no,
I'll keep going
I'm just listening and getting a lot out of it.
Okay, I'll keep going then. I am very interested in, so you start this journey. I'd love to know like where your head was at in your psychology and your self-talk, or where I'm currently going through, and probably will for the rest of my life, depression that comes with suicidal thoughts. And it's just something that happens, and I take medication that really helps me. It's changed my life. But I consistently struggle with a negative inner voice. I've gone to 100 therapy sessions in the last year, and I've really learned what it means to love yourself and like how to go through that journey and talk positively to yourself. And there's core beliefs that we all have as a person, and the traumas that you have in your background create negative core beliefs. I'm unworthy. I'm not good enough. I'm a bad person. I'm stupid. And those voices in your head kind of help contribute to the decisions you make in your life. So if you can kind of unwind that a little bit, then that's where you start to have a positive inner voice, positive core beliefs, and you heal from that past traumas that you have instead of burying it and letting it control you. And what I have specifically found is when I do high intense goals that I have, it allows me to kind of like walk back in that inner voice and think through those traumas and really heal from those traumas that I've gone through. And I'm finding a deep connection with finding my best self through a high level of like physical activity. I think that you heal in movement. I'm interested if my perspective, if you had any of that at all, and the journey, the 1-year journey that you went on, did you feel yourself grow as a person? Did you feel like you healed some traumas? You developed a positive self voice. Can you connect on any of those?
Yes, all of the above.
Right.
Yeah. So I feel like I've been a positive person for a really long time before I lost my job. And I think the whole displacement process and just having that like crushing self-confidence crusher of being displaced from your job of 32 years, that was like huge. So I think that was a turning point for me as far as being negative, starting to be negative. And I think doing the incline helped that. I had some really like super rough days on the incline where people would say good morning or, oh, how's your job search going or whatever. And I just like break down, crying like a crazy person, and went through a breakup during that first 2 months. And so that
so there was a lot going
emotional.
on.
Oh my God, it was terrible.
That's a lot of change.
Yes, I
But
remember.
you're resilient to change, but sometimes you just can only take so much
Yes.
before it gets to you.
It was too much for me. Hi, guys.
It's all good. It's not live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was emotional. And as Jill walked in, I'm just thinking about a time where I was up there and she asked me about my breakup. And I just remember that time with Joe. You and Joe were up there, and I was crying so hard I could barely breathe. And it's hard enough to breathe on the incline. Yeah.
Right.
And I was just like,
crying.
like this. Right. It was terrible. And just from an innocent question, like, how's it going? Have you heard from X? Or, yeah.
Sometimes those are the hardest questions when someone says, how are you? And secretly in your head, you're just like, I'm having a suicidal thought. And
Yeah.
I'm having literally the worst 24 hours of my entire life. And then someone says, how are you? And you're just like,
I'm good.
do you really want to know?
Yeah. Do you want to know?
You don't want to know.
Do you really want to know?
Yeah, because it's such a nice question, because that's what you're supposed to say to people,
it's
right?
pleasant to say
How
that.
are
And you're
you?
supposed
Or-
to say, oh, it's great.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just don't want to be fake. And it just has to come out. And I think when it does come out, it gives you a moment to kind of bond with that person. And because you've opened up, you've been vulnerable. And it's hard to be vulnerable because people can hurt you when they know you're vulnerable. Do you feel like you've developed some good friends on the incline?
I think so. My incline buddies, absolutely. I think, the people you see up there, you only see them, sometimes for a split second.
Yeah,
Or
just a
other
quick high
times,
five.
exactly. Yeah, and they're encouraging. You don't really know people, right? You know of them and you see them. And there are a lot of people, I think, that are the, how are you? I am fine. And that's how I am with many people. And I don't like to call it fake, because it's like not fake.
Yeah,
it's
just
how
kinda
much I want to
surface.
give them. Right.
Yeah.
It's like, this is all surface level. This is the way it's supposed to be. You don't want to know my inner,
Just
my
an acquaintance.
brain.
Let's find out
like,
acquaintances.
but with other people like Jill, or with Steve Sturmer, or, people who have seen me like cry my eyes out, it's deeper, right? Somewhat who you can trust, just like anywhere.
You
right?
gotta take a risk. Yeah. You
Yes,
never really know if you can trust
absolutely.
somebody, but those type of vulnerable experiences allow you to build that trust, I think.
Yes, and it does, and especially when you exercise together. Like Mickey and I went up tons of times together, and the talks that you have when you're exercising, and it's like a bonding
So
experience.
therapeutic, right?
It is.
Jake
It
and I have
totally
gone up
is.
the incline so many times where it's the worst day ever. And
Yes.
then as you're going up, it's like the further you go, the better you feel. And you have these just insanely great and healing conversations. And it must be, I wish we need to talk to like a biochemist or something, but there's got to be something going on chemically in your brain and in your body, endorphins and just all sorts of stuff that really help contribute. But I think also the experience and just metaphorically overcoming the mountain and
Yes.
elevating, I think that helps too.
It does. There were some days I remember coming down and getting in my car and going, I can't believe I told Mickey that. Like, I can't believe I said that.
Yeah.
But, there are certain people you trust. And yeah, I agree. I wonder if there is that thing in your brain, that some chemical thing that makes you do that. Blab.
Just the blab, blab, blab.
Blab
Yeah.
your life.
Who do you feel like you've gotten closest to over the last year doing 500? Is it Mickey?
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. He's my buddy.
It's great. Do you ever see him outside of the incline?
We have not. Nope. We have a plan to go with Sheila, his wife, and me and him to lunch, but we haven't been able to do it. She comes up once a month with him now, which is great.
Yeah.
She's gotten into it, so that's wonderful. So next time we get together is when she's going to come up here. So.
Yeah, maybe we should do a big barbecue and
would be fun.
a big incline local get together and kind of mix people up and stuff. And
Love it.
That'd be really fun. about to have some really nice weather, so we'll do it soon. I really enjoy those when we do that.
Yay, me too.
I have here in the notes that you're getting ready for a Pikes Peak Ascent and a Pikes Peak Marathon doubler.
Yay.
Which is on a Saturday, you do the ascent. So you start at City Hall and you go 13.1 miles, or it might be 13.6, up to the top of Pikes Peak at 14,000 foot. So it's 8,000 foot gain. So you're going to go up it on the Saturday. And then the very next day, you're going to do the marathon. So you're going to go up and down.
I am.
Wow.
And these are just training runs for my 50 miler.
So
because
just training.
you have to have back-to-back long runs with that distance anyway. So I'm like, well, why not? I've always wanted to double. You had mentioned that, and I heard somebody else say this before, that they're not going to let people double in the future.
That's a rumor I heard. Yeah, I wonder if it's real. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. So I want the jacket, and I want to check it off my list, and then be done with it.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite the goal. I cannot imagine. I've done the ascent 2 times now, and I've done it a couple times just on my own. I cannot imagine waking up the very next morning, 12 hours later, and saying, all right, time to do it again, but even more, because now I'm going to go down the mountain too. Yeah. So
There's
that's a good goal.
Wonderful time limit, though. You know, the time limit is, I think, 6.5 hours for the ascent, and then like 10 hours for the marathon. So, I mean, I have plenty of time to finish. I don't have a time goal other than that. So, that's gonna be
I
good.
think that's the best way to do it going into it. Don't really look at time, but look at accomplishing it is going to be the goal.
Yes.
Even if you walk a bit, which is very common in people that do
yes.
ascents and stuff. My goal was, I just want to run the whole thing. And I tried it, and I got to like tree line, and I was like, I can't run anymore.
I'm dead,
My
right.
legs don't work.
Right.
So then I was speed walking, and then it was like, okay, I'm going to speed walk the rest of the way. And then I like got tunnel vision and started getting dizzy, and it was really windy, and I'm wearing what I'm wearing now, a t-shirt and shorts and stuff. And you know how brutally cold it is up there.
Yes.
And then I was like, okay, I just want to finish. So I got to that point, and then trained for a year and did it again and got a little bit better. But yeah, that's a hard challenge. I have a lot of respect for you for wanting to do it, and
Thank
I'm
you.
sure you'll do it because that's the kind of person you are.
I have no doubt I will.
I love that superior level confidence. That's just so awesome.
It may not be pretty, but I'm going to get it
You're
done.
gonna get it done. Yeah, I've gone into some challenges with that mindset. Like, I've already done it in my head. Like, I've already done it. It's going to happen. My body just needs to do it now.
Yeah, right.
That's where you're at too?
You convince, right. I mean, the mind is so strong. And as long as you have it in your mind, you're going to be able to do it. Crawling, whatever way is going to happen, it's going to get done.
Yeah, exactly. Well, is there anything, a part of your story that you want to say? Anything that we missed? Really just wanted this to kind of be a thorough story of you and who you are, and hopefully this can inspire others.
I hope it does inspire. I don't have anything else.
Okay, I think it will. You have a great personality. I love talking to you, Katharine. I'm looking
you.
forward to the next time we get to see you. Thank you for being here. I'm so grateful for you, our very first guest.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
You are incredible. Good luck on your future endeavors. I'm sure you're going to check a lot of boxes.
Yeah, we'll probably be doing another interview whenever you complete some other gnarly task or some goal.
Yeah, we got to get in your head more. You have so many traits that I just go like, oh man, I need more of that in my life. So
We got to do the 100-mile incline challenge.
100-miler incline challenge. That's a good idea. I think you could do it. You could go up the incline and then go down Longs Ranch Road and then go Ute and come back.
Oh
I
my
think that's the
gosh.
circle you could do. Lots of that. Yes, maybe one
Let's
day.
do it.
I would love to do a challenge with you, especially if you wanted to do the ultra one, because no one else has done it yet. I can't be the only one to do it. Come on,
I
somebody
need
watching,
to.
do the Incline Ultra Marathon. We
Why
need more
not?
people on that list.
Right. October's a big month.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, thanks again.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Thanks.